Alright, so in this video I'm going to talk about how to set up the armor to fit the full-size body. But first I'd like to go back and redo a step that I forgot, and that was copying the skin modifier from the body over to the armor. You see, exclusively with the Cherry Hodling's body, her body bounces, and so when on her skin modifier it basically has poses for the skeleton to support the bouncing, which the armor doesn't have. It has its own skin modifier. So, and it's always a good idea to save. So let's go ahead and save before we get any further. I'm going to click on Save As, and I'm going to save my own 3ds Max setting as a Stormcloak Officer 0. I like to have a different save file for both the 0 body weight and the 1 body weight. So I'm going to go and save a 0 file. Yes, indeed. Alright, now let's go ahead and fix that error. So I'm going to click on the Cherry Hodling body, and I'm going to right click and copy the skin modifier. Now I'm going to click over to the armor, right click, right click on the skin modifier in the armor and delete it. And now I'm going to copy and then just paste. And look at that. When I did that, the armor got messed up. Alright, this happens occasionally. Now, the fix for this, I don't have one. Sometimes when using some of these vanilla body armors, they just don't work well with some options. Basically, if this happens, I'm not sure if there's a way around it. I've tried for hours myself and couldn't do it. So, if this happens when you copy the skin modifier, it happens relatively often with the vanilla armors, especially ones that have skirt bones, like this one. The armors with the skirt bones hate the skeleton for some reason. So if this happens, just load. Like I said, save often. Just load from your previous setting, and we're just not going to load the skin modifier because that happened. But if that didn't happen, we would just leave it on there and everything would be fine. But since that happened, we're just going to have to go with this. So we're going to leave out copying the skin modifier for now, for this particular body armor. And now I'm going to go ahead and move on to setting up the armor for the full body type. Now, we already have the morpher set, so if you click on the morpher and you push the body type up, push the body weight up, if you notice, the body just kind of sticks out of the armor. So, there's 2 ways we can fix that. One way is just to click on the armor and just edit it. Be very artistic and just do it manually, old school, whatever you want to call it. Just do it that way and just drag the vertices around until the armor's covering up everything basically. However, there is another way, and that is called the skin wrap. Now, the skin wrap doesn't always work well with the edit mesh. That's another reason why edit poly is always the preference, is always a good thing to have over edit mesh, but because the vertex counts didn't line up, we had to use edit mesh for this particular body armor. So we can use the skin wrap. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and morph the body type back down. There we go. Alright. So now what I'm going to do is click on the armor, click down the bottom here, go to the modifier list, and find something called skin wrap. There we go. Now on the skin wrap you have this empty box right here, then you have these options. Now, these options have been set from previous sessions I've had. You want to make sure the fall off is at 10, the distance, I guess that's inflation, is at 10, and the face limit's at 0. And also this weight all points, you can check that off. I've never had issues using it before, and I've seen other people use it, so I think it's, for the most part, like the smooth modifier, you know, might as well use it, doesn't hurt. Now that we have that, I'm going to click on Add here, and I'm going to click on the body. And after you do that, your scene might freeze for a second there while it loads. Now that we have that, make sure all those All those things have those values. And now, another issue you come up with edit mesh. The edit mesh doesn't like to work well with this skin wrap. If you notice, the armor is just completely turned black. Now, this will hurt it, so we have to fix this, and I tried for a long time to figure out what this was and looked online for solutions and couldn't find anything. The best solution I found for it was on accident. So what we're going to do now is, since we're about to increase the armor size, let's go ahead and save a new file. Save as, and I'm going to call this Store Cloak Officer -1, because this is going to be our full-size body type here. Click on Save, and now that we have that, if you want to fix this problem, one thing that fixes it, and this might work for you, might not, is to just, since we saved the scene, just reopen it. I don't know why exactly this worked for me. I got lucky, stumbled upon it, but if you reopen it, sometimes it fixes that black issue, and sometimes it doesn't. Like it just happened right now. Oh well, we're just having to deal with it. And hopefully that it won't mess up our future plans. So let's just keep going here. I know that sounded like a waste of time, but for some reason I came across it in the past, and reloading the scene actually fixed the problem. So it looks like the skin wrap is ready. So go to your edit meshes and make sure that you don't have the vertex thing highlighted. If you have that highlighted, well, let me show you. If you have it highlighted while you try to use the morpher, the armor, the armor will react to it. So, alright, well that works. So if you notice, the armor is getting a bit blocky there. It's trying to expand to it the best it can, but it's a little bit messed up, obviously. But it's not bad. Like I said, the skin wrap is not perfect, but it does help. So what I like to do is just go a few increments at a time and just fit the armor for those increments and just keep going along the way. So I'm going to make my fall off about 12. That sounds about right. I'm going to expand that out, because their trouble area is always, the chest area is always kind of a trouble spot, especially with this body type. So I'm just going to kind of pull that area out. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the morpher and push a little bit further. Alright, a bit more tearing there. We're at 80. Let's pull it out just a bit more. Could definitely use an extra vertice around the chest area, but let's see. Maybe we could pull it out a little bit right here. Yeah, that works. Shift that to the side a little bit. This part just takes practice. Just practice moving the vertices around, and it's going to be a little bit blocky. It really depends on the body type and how much effort you want to put into adjusting the vertices. If you wanted to, you could try to pull in other vertices from around the area and kind of try to stretch it out a little bit. But that's pretty time consuming, and for this video I'm not going to go through all that, but you are free to try whatever process you want. It's your mesh. Alright, so I kind of got it covered up, but it's looking pretty funky. But unfortunately, that's pretty much how it's going to have to be, this body type. There are some ways you can try to smooth it out, but with this particular stretch here, the vertices are so far apart that you can't really help but to have them kind of blocky. Alright, now, and it'll be a lot easier to do this with armors that don't have the chest area completely covered up. Ones that have kind of, an open chest area tend to be a bit easier to move around. And now I'm going to finish upping up the morpher. Ooh, just barely. Alright, let's go ahead and fix those real quick. Maybe just pull out that guy. Yeah, there we go. Alright, for the most part it worked. Alright, for the most part that works. Oh, looks like we got a little bit of the booty showing there. Let's fix that. There we go. And I guess that'll work. Alright. So, for the most part we got it. The chest area looks pretty ridiculous, pretty jagged, but sometimes it just can't be helped with the armors. And if you don't want to use the skin wrap, it might be possible to make it a bit cleaner just using it without the skin wrap. You're free to try whatever you like. You don't always have to use the skin wrap. You can just, do it the way you want to. It's forcing you to use the skin wrap. And I could go through more of a process to clean that up, but for the purpose of this video, you get the idea. Just make it however you want. Get it as nice as you want it to be. And now that you have that, you have all the modifiers set up, and now you are free to save it, of course. Save. And then export it. Just export the whole thing, and I'm going to save this as Stormcloak Officer-1 _1. Alright, make sure the weld vertices is 0. And all that's the same in export. Alright, now let's see how much time I have here. Alright, we're going to go ahead and stop there for this video. And now we have the armor exported at its lowest weight and its highest weight. So the next step in the process is NIF scope. And it's relatively tedious, but it must be done. I'll explain more about what you need to do in the next video.